What kind of skills? What? Technical or soft skills? What is a soft skill in your view? What's a soft skill? Like what? Ability to? The theory part. Okay, that's an interesting answer. What's a soft skill? Yes, that's one aspect. That's important. What's a soft skill with a red shirt? Like what? Interesting. What's a soft skill? Yes. Now, you know, soft skills are not something a school can teach you. Huh? You know that? You're not here to learn soft skills. Schools teach you what mostly? Technical skills. So if all of you come onto the degree, how are you better than the next guy? That's why we're looking for specific attributes. Now, soft skills are even more important if you ask me, because they're tied into your life skills. Where you end up in your career, not because Kenya isn't run by A students. Do you agree? A lot of successful businessmen are not A students. One of the most important components of your young lives, like you should start fostering now, is what I always call social capital. It's very important. Social capital starts from this age and younger. You must start developing your social skills. Very important. If, for example, I'm asked, Christopher, do you know any cybersecurity specialist? Where will I go? To LinkedIn. If I'm asked, Chris, top of mind, who comes to your mind? Who will be top of mind? Who? The guy with an A. Huh? Who? The guy who has? Very important. A lot of opportunities come through what? Word of? Word of mouth. You cannot avoid this. And you must develop this. And how do you develop this? There are a lot of ways to develop it. When I was in school, I played soccer very seriously. And soccer, I can tell you, speaking as an ex-sportsman, because now I don't play anymore, when you play a team sport, you automatically learn stuff about leadership. Who here plays sport? Competitive sport, not hobbies. Talking about serious sport. Who plays sport here? You can't all be just studying. Who's playing sport here? None of you play sport. I'm shocked. At this age, no one is playing sport here. Even the guys. What sport do you play? What? Speak up. Which sport? What sport do you play? Huh? Soccer player. Where do you play? At home. That's not what I want to hear. Where do you play? What sport do you play? This is very alarming. Why? What sport do you play? Handball. Good. Where do you play? This isn't working. Where do you play? University Lane. What do you learn from handball? Not about the game. What does handball teach you?
You need a lot of teamwork.
Exactly. And what else?
Good communication.
Good communication. These are what? What are we talking about now? What? Soft skills. Yes. What else do you learn about when you play competitive sport? But it's not working. It's working now. So, what else do you learn from the sport?
You need a determination or an edge for you to be better than the other team.
Good. What do you learn when you lose? Because I'm sure you lose. So, what do you learn when you lose? Yes, and it builds what when you lose? It builds what?
Your morale, you want to work harder so that you better your skills.
Exactly. It's very important because at this age, most of you, there are few of you here who most likely will not pass your exams. You know that? Yes, it happens. You can flunk out of school, true? Yes, it happens all the time. You can fail in Form 4. Is it the end? Huh? You can fail in uni. Is it the end? So what does sport teach you about failure? How to build what? Resilience. You must build resilience because failure is a reality. You're going to have to deal with sooner or later. Doesn't matter who you are. Failure is a reality. It's going to happen. So you better develop a backbone to be able to deal with failure. When you apply for jobs, how many people respond to you? Very few, isn't it? Do you get depressed? What do? You do what? Do you start drinking? Do you commit suicide? What do? You move on. And one of the best ways to move on is to start developing a backbone. And a lot of these skills that you will develop come from sport. And one of the most beautiful things about sport, I'll be very honest, you make lifelong networks and friends. Lifelong. My dad was a boxer for a long time, and I can tell you he taught some of the most, it's amazing, because he taught guys, he boxed when he was young, and I remember he was very close to Peter Morangu, who was then the Kenya boxing coach. His dad also played competitive squash, and he taught who are today some of Kenya's most prominent businessmen. So it's very easy for dad to say, Chris, go and see him. Based on what? Because he's an A student. It's what? Social what? I'm telling you, it's very important. This is what separates you from the next person. Because what normally happens also when you start playing sport is you become more and more confident, more self-assured. You can always tell someone who's got no confidence, which is a killer during even interviews. You know that? Yes. If you have no confidence, can you sell yourself? What happens when you have no confidence? How can you tell someone has no confidence? And this a school cannot teach you. Either you have it or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, you have to work on it. How can I tell if you lack confidence? How can I tell? There are telltale signs. How can I tell? It's very easy. How can I tell? Yes, how can I tell? Restless. I'm restless, but I'm not shy. How do you know that someone has low confidence? Can't make what? Eye contact, number one, at all. Yeah, can't make eye contact. Always looks down, looks up, looks left, cannot focus. Because of lack of what? Confidence, can't negotiate, doesn't know his value. I'll take any offer on the table. Why? You don't know what? Don't know your value. Confidence can be sapped by, this lack of confidence can be caused by a lot of things. Sometimes your upbringing can cause lack of confidence. It happens. Another thing is the company you're keeping. You're always competing. This is a school, isn't it? You all want to get grades. You all want to get first class. You all want nice cell phones. You all want to dress well. If you can't afford those clothes, what happens? Start to lose confidence, isn't it? Now, end of the day, whether you wear this or that, is that important? It's not important. But at this age, it's very important because you're very young. And that's why the company you keep is extremely important. Very important. Hang around people who challenge you. When I was young, I always made sure I hung around my dad, even when he was going for his business meetings. I never understood what I was discussing, but told me, Chris, come and stand here and just listen. What am I learning? What am I learning? When you interview kids, for example, from private schools, and I'm being very honest, if I interview a child from, let's say, Breban or Rusinga, what's the main difference? It's not the school they go to. It's what? What's the main difference? Interview a guy from Breban and a guy from Jamhuri, what's the difference? Do you know? Forget about the school. What's the difference? The level of? Maybe. What's the difference? How they articulate themselves, possibly. But what's the main difference? It's called what? It's called what? Yes? The mindset. Thank you. It's the mindset. When you ask that kid, where does he want to go to campus? What does he say? He wants to go where? To where? Give me an example. Which campus does he want to go to? Harvard. How come when you ask a Jamhuri guy, where does he want to go to campus? What does he say? Where does he want to go? Why? Why is that? Why is that? Is it the school? It's what? It's the mindset. It's the confidence. Because in your head, you told yourself what? Harvard is what? It's beyond you. Because what? I grew up in Kilel, I've got no money. So Harvard is what? Beyond you. Is that the case? So you see now, who has allowed you to literally just fill your mind full of negativity about yourself. Low self-image, which kills what? Your confidence. True? Now the guy wants to go to Harvard and maybe he's got no grades. But he's thinking of Harvard, why? Because he believes what? He believes what? So what's the difference between him and you? It's what? The mindset. Now, can a school teach you a mindset? Let's be honest. Can a school teach you a mindset? So what is more important to you? A degree or your mindset? So how will you improve your mindset? How do I do it? How do I stop thinking small? How do I start dreaming big? You know, it's interesting. When you hang around people who think small, what do you discuss? You discuss what? Thank you. Exactly. Kenyans, the young generation, right now is consuming more gossip than ever before. Do you agree? You're on Instagram 24/7. You're on Twitter. You're buying the Nairobian. You're reading Kahawatungu. You're listening to Mana and Kingangi 24/7. You're listening to junk 24/7. So by the time you meet someone who is intelligent, someone who is exposed, can you honestly have a conversation? Why is that? You have access to the same information, but that guy doesn't follow Kim Kardashian and all the influencers on Twitter. What is he doing when you're watching Kim Kardashian? What is he doing? You have access to YouTube. True? Yes. This generation, what do you watch on YouTube? What? Let's hear. What do you watch on YouTube? Let's be honest. No lies. Tell the truth now. What do you watch on YouTube? Speak for the generation, this generation. What do they watch on YouTube? Yes, speak for yourself. Car inventions, interesting. What do you guys watch on YouTube? Speak for this generation. What do they watch on YouTube? Yes, you. Tell me. What? Soccer highlights. See what I mean? Yeah? You know about Arsenal's transfer window, isn't it? You know about who played yesterday and who's playing this weekend. True? But if you asked about Kenya's Vision 2030, which is where the country is going, what can you say? What can you say? Absolutely nothing. You have aspirations of working for some of Kenya's largest corporates. Some of you want to work for a bank, isn't it? Yes. Who wants to work for a bank here? Anyone? Any bank. Banks are full of cybersecurity professionals, in case you don't know. So banks are some of the best employers for you, in case you don't know. Who would like to work for a bank? Yes, you'd like to work for a bank. What do you know about the banking industry? What are the biggest risks right now facing the banking industry? If I'm interviewing you for a job, I'm not going to ask you about your hobbies, yeah? Your strengths, your weaknesses, those things, you lie about them, because I know you lie. Yeah, you'll say, I like to work under minimum supervision, yeah? Because people are designed to sell yourself. But if you ask technical questions, right now, I ask you, for example, you're a graduate, you're going to be a graduate, isn't it? Yes? How has the pandemic affected the economy? Okay, that's a very basic answer, isn't it? But it's a good effort. But that's not what I'm looking for. I can always tell what you're reading, but the quality of your answer. You're in a school of higher learning. Higher learning. You're not here to just get a degree. You're here to do what? What's the point of a degree if you're not learned? You're educated, but you're not learned. You have a library here, isn't it? Full of books. True? When do you read? When you have what? Exams. Exactly. When you finish the exam, what happens to the books? Throw them away. That's why our graduates have degrees but have no content. This is a big problem. I want to work for Safaricom. For argument's sake, if you bumped into a Safaricom executive, even a Michael Joseph, the late Bob Collymore, if you bumped into him, whether at a car wash, wherever you bump into him, and there you are face to face, how do you sell yourself? I have a degree. Come on, man. How do you sell yourself? It's a skill, isn't it? It's called a unique value proposition. You must define it for yourself. You have to define it for yourself. That is how you make an impression on someone. That's why this generation is struggling so much to generate value. Because you don't spend time constructively. What do I gain by watching Chelsea and Liverpool? What do I gain? What do I gain? Alisson made a mistake. Liverpool won the league. How does that help you? If I was in a school like this, number one, I'd be learning a foreign language. Why? Tired of seeing to expand. A lot of banks are looking for people who can speak a different language. If I&M Bank is moving to Congo, for example, yeah, and the bank tells us in HR, Chris, find people who can speak French. How many will we find? A handful. True? Yes. You don't have to go to Alliance Francaise to learn how to speak French. Do you get that? Yes. The difference between me and the next guy is how I spend my time. That's the only difference. That's why this generation is struggling so much, because you waste a lot of time doing the wrong thing. You drink a lot. True? Yes. You have a lot of fun. True? Yes. Weekend after weekend after weekend. You spend doing what? Spend doing what? Tell me about your colleagues in school. What do they do on weekends? Remove the mask. They do what?
They do hold parties.
Parties, what else?
Attend some activities.
No, those parties. What do you gain in those parties? What do you gain? What do you gain? No, it's interesting. They can call you a nerd. You're always reading, you shouldn't care what people think. Not every opinion matters. You're here to become learned. You should be networking. In fact, you should try and befriend people who are older than you. It helps your thinking. If all your friends are A students, it makes you do what? Huh? Yes. True? Yes. If you go to Alliance, for example, and all your boys are first class, they're all getting A minuses and A's played, you have a C, what will that do to you? You have to start doing what? It's very important. The time you are spending, this is what you should be doing right now. Developing yourself, developing your mindset. But this generation, and it's not just TUK, it's this generation, yes, spend a lot of time doing the wrong thing. And that's why you struggle even to hold conversation. Unless it's about a shallow debate, isn't it? Gossip, yeah? Who's dating who, who's married to who, who's doing what with who. There they can tell you everything. But real substance, there's very little. And yet, you're the generation which has been blessed in terms of access to information. But you're filling your mind with the wrong information. Networking will change everything for you. That I can tell you. Every school holiday, go and volunteer somewhere. Don't stay in the house watching movies. Go and volunteer somewhere. It teaches you a lot about yourself. When you learn to give of your time for free, don't be greedy and always want a payment. When we come and do these talks, we don't get paid. Know that. We don't charge for these things. We do them because you want to make a difference. Not for money. You don't care about the money. You're here to make a difference. So why do you find it so hard to work for someone for free? Why do you need to be paid? Why can't you go and give of your time? If I go and volunteer somewhere, by the time from first year to fourth year, if I've been volunteering every semester, how many years of experience have I gained? Almost 2 years, isn't it? By the time I leave my fourth year, that company where I've been volunteering, will they look for anyone else? Where would they start? They know you already, so why look for someone else? But because you think you can't work for free, what happens? I mean, I can't work for free. Isn't it? Attitude, true? Yes. Attitude and your mindset are like conjoined twins. You can't separate them. So there's value in giving of your time. There are a lot of events we have in Kenya which can help you developing your networking skills. For example, we have this home expos. Know them? People selling homes. Yeah? But a typical young guy will tell you, why go to home expo? Because I can't afford a house anyway. That tells you what about his thinking. Let me give you a more practical example. How many people here have a driving license? 1, 2, 3. Driving license. How old are you now? Most of you here. Why don't you have a DL? Because, I don't have a car. Is that a reason? Why don't you have a driving license? If an opportunity came tomorrow and they say they want someone with a driving license, what will happen to this class? Who will get the job? Him. And maybe he's the weakest student academically here. But he'll get the opportunity. Yet he's got no car. It's not about the car. It's about what? It's about what? It's about what? Thank you. How many kids here have a passport? 1, 2, 3, a passport. Why? Oh, I can't afford a plane ticket. I mean, come on, man. What's the plane ticket have to do with the passport? Huh? Why don't you have a passport? If a job today came in the UK, today, it came, and they asked you, send us a copy of your passport, what will you do? Send your ID photo. Huh? You will send what? Why do you wait for an opportunity? Opportunities come when you least expect. And whoever is ready will seize those opportunities. Just how it works. It's how the world works. Preparation meets what? Opportunity. And you're ready for the opportunity. It's as simple as that. It's like playing soccer and someone gets injured, isn't it? You've been training, so what happens? The coach does what? Tells you, okay, you go play. You take that position. And if you shine, what happens? What happens? You take it from him, isn't it? Yes, you were ready for the opportunity. So don't wait for the opportunity. It doesn't come when you want. It comes when? Least expected. How often do you guys read books? Who's reading a book here currently? Any book, not a school book. And not cybersecurity. I want someone reading a book here. Which book? What are you reading currently? Huh? Text in action. What text in action? What are you reading? What? 5 a.m. Club. What are you reading? It's okay, there's nothing, it's okay. What are you reading? Yes, you. School stuff. What are you reading? Subtle art of? Subtle art of not giving up. Interesting. Women. I always seem, it's interesting. When you interview girls of the same age, they always seem to be far ahead of the boys. Is that true? Why is that? Why is that? It's true they mature faster, but I can tell you from my experience, when you interview young women, the questions they ask you are often much more detailed than the ones boys ask you of the same age. Why? Do you know why? Maybe they're mentored more. We keep hearing issues with the boy child, isn't it? Boy child, boy child, boy child. What is killing the boy child? It's these soft skills, isn't it? Yes. So what is killing them? Can't communicate, no confidence, don't know where they're going, no vision for their life, no plan. Just living day to day to day and hope something happens tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. By now, at this age, you should have a vision board. What's a vision board? Class went silent. What's a vision board? Yes. What's a vision board?
It's a board where you list the things that you're going to do in a range of 5 years.
You see now. How old are you? 19. 19. Vision board. 19-year-old guy, vision board? There is no way. Where is his mind? FIFA. Exactly. Where else is his mind? Let's be honest. It's where? What? Road trips. Alcohol. Women. Isn't it? Yes. This is a problem. But the girls, where are their minds? Where? You can hear? Vision board at 19. There's a difference. And that's why if you guys went for the same job, what would happen? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Yes. How come she's thinking like that and she's 19 and you're 19 and you're thinking like that? What's the difference? It's what? The mindset. It's not your upbringing. I dislike that victim mentality. Oh, my parents, I was raised poor. That is not an excuse. No one chooses their upbringing. But you can choose your attitude, isn't it? Yes. So she chooses to have a vision board. What is Kenya's Vision 2030? It's a what? It's a vision board. True? Why does Kenya have a vision? Why? Why? Yes? What is TUK's vision? Your students at TUK, what is TUK's vision? Let me hear. If you're in a school, the school's vision should be where? Where? At your? Yes, because you're a student here. So why are you struggling to articulate the school's vision? Unless the school hasn't told you the vision, or you don't care. It's that simple. Because what informed your decision to come to UK? You like being in the CBD. Is that the reason? Huh? There must have been a reason. True? Yes. Why do parents push you to go to Alliance and Starehe? Why? 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 Because of what? The vision. Where is Starehe Boys School? Where is Starehe? Where? Where? Pumwani. Very interesting. It's true. Starehe is in the middle of a slum area. Depressed economic circumstances. How many schools are around Starehe? Which one? Give me schools around Starehe. Like which one? Name me a school. Yes. Pumwani Boys, thank you. Another school? Isli High School, thank you. Another school? Jamhuri Boys. Ofafa Jericho. Do you aspire to go to Fafa Jericho? Kamkunji High School, is that a dream to go to? Why is Starehe different? It's in the same environment. What's the difference? Think, guys, think. What's the difference? It's what? What is the vision of Griffith, the founder? To do what? To create what? To generate what? Kids queue from all over the country to go to school in Starehe. Why? Why? How come I don't queue to go to Kamkunji High School? Why? They are neighbors. What's the difference? Griffiths was trying to do something very special. He was trying to build character in those kids, to show them that it doesn't matter what your upbringing is. You can become whatever you set your mind to become. There's a reason it's in the middle of a slum, is to show you, is to allow you to aspire, that you can become something. Forget about the fact that you live in Majengo. You can become something from nothing. So your teaching was focusing on what? The mindset. That's why those kids today are so successful. Because they have a different mindset. In Isli Boys, it's funny, when I was in school, we always found those kids hanging on the mathris there, the number 9s, you know them? Yes, hanging on the door. I never once saw a Starehe student ever, when I was growing up in school, and they had blue shorts, you remember? Red shirt. You never ever saw them with the shirt untucked, ever, or the tie out of place. Why? He was teaching them what? Discipline, self-discipline, and respect of yourself. If you want me to take you seriously, then you must do what? Take yourself seriously. It's important. If you try and look the part, focus. School is not about a degree. It's not. This is where you build social networks. Here, right here. Some of the most successful businesses began where? Campus. Facebook began where? Began where? Where? Thank you. Microsoft began where? Bill Gates' garage, when he was studying where? Harvard. Thank you. Apple began where? Thank you. In school. They were coding and they were working to develop something in school, while most of their colleagues are doing what in school? Doing what you do. And you wonder why they become successful and you don't. Yet you were in the same school. What's the difference? How you spend your time. That's the only thing that separates men from boys. Simple. Whether you win Miss TUK or Mr. TUK, that's a lot of, it doesn't mean anything. 2 years time, you'll be out of campus. Nobody will remember that you were Miss TUK. You understand? They'll remember certain things about you. So you must start to develop things that will separate you from the competition. Meaning the time that you spend, how you're spending your time. The friends that you keep, very important. The company you're keeping 24/7. What you're reading, what you're feeding your mind all the time. Make it deliberate, every time. The library is not for exams. That's a silly mindset. Library is for what? It's for what? Learning what? Acquiring skills. That's why you have a library in school. When I was in campus in Pretoria, I spent a lot of time in the school library learning about South African history. It really helped me. I picked up Zulu from school. I began to learn the language. It changed everything. Opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Because once you start to become more and more attuned to the country you're living in, it becomes easier to make friends. Does TUK have foreign students? Are there some foreign students here? From where? If you have Congolese friends, Nigerian friends, it's very important. Why? Don't just hang around Kenyans, man. You learn so little. Do you have foreign friends here? Do you have foreign friends here? Are there foreign students here? I'm sure there are. I'm sure. Tanzanians, Ugandans, Burundians, it's important to make friends across your divide. Why? Why? Friendships are lifelong. You know that? Lifelong. I'm telling you, lifelong. I might be in Angola somewhere working in a Portuguese-speaking country, and I see a job which I know she can do. I'll ask you, just come. Where's your passport? But because she has no passport, what happens? Yeah? So I'm challenging you guys. Start thinking differently. Am I clear? Yes. Or your lives will just go down the toilet. That I can promise you. Very average life, average achievements, average everything. And the cycle continues. The chances are you'll marry an average wife, average kids. Yeah? It will continue to perpetuate because you attract who you are. You know that? Yes. It's a fact. It's a fact. If I'm always reading, I can't spend time with deadbeats who just waste my time. I can't. I'll look for someone who is like-minded. I'm a Christian. The Bible says iron sharpens what? Why is that? It means what? Yes, what does it mean? Like minds? That's it. It's important. So you don't hang around with people who what? Drag you down. It's a waste of time. Dedicate time to spend with people who will challenge you. This is how you start to grow. By now you should know your short-term plan, your medium-term plan, your long-term plan for your life. Put it in paper. How many people here have got a side hustle? We're just waiting for mommy's pocket money. Yet you have a brain that works. Why wait for mom and dad to give you pocket money? Why can't you apply your mind and think? What can I do with the gifts that I've been blessed with to generate income for myself? You cannot tell me that you enjoy asking your parents for pocket money. Do you enjoy it? No, you don't. How does it feel to make money from a side hustle? How does it feel? Yes. It's a sense of achievement. Even if you're selling airtime, it's okay. Even if you're selling bandwidth to your friend, it's okay, whatever it may be. Even if you're cooking mandazi to sell in school, it's your pocket money. It's something. So start thinking. By now, you should be thinking about side hustle. It's very important because it will teach you financial management. You learn how to work with money. And you build independence. The boys in this class, you're 19, 20, 21. Give yourself 3 years. You want to be out of your mother's house. True or false? Yes, I'm a man and you're a man. Do you enjoy being asked, what time are you coming home? Where are you? Who is she? Do you like those questions? Huh? Yes. Why is that? You're a man. You're designed to be what? Independent. So how do you become independent? It starts with what? A vision. Not a vision, where are you going? You're dead. you perish because you have no direction, don't know where you're going. And because you have no vision, you attract people who have got what? No vision. So you die together. That's exactly what happens. So start thinking. Start thinking about your lives critically analyzing why I'm where I am today, what is keeping me here. Forget about my parents are poor, I don't have money. That is a silly excuse. Think about what I can do with the talent that I have been blessed with. Because all of you have got what? Talents. All of you. All of you. No one here has got no talent. Everybody has got a talent. Think about and get a job. What happens?
I can hear some noise though. Can you hear
Yeah, so thank you very much. Welcome to our discussion this afternoon, and sorry for keeping you waiting. Our next speaker will be tackling cybersecurity, and we'll be glad to learn from her. Without much ado, I want to give this chance to our speaker today to talk to us. Welcome, Evelyn.
Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity, and I really wished I was there in person with you so we can have a session together. But since I did not manage to come in person, I can still support the team to take you through the different aspects of cybersecurity. And again, I think I might bias it to the domain that I'm really good at. So I think there are some words that Christopher mentioned that I'll also insinuate in this particular session in our discussion. So maybe I start with how many of us in the room are familiar with cybersecurity, or when you hear the word cybersecurity, what do you feel or what do you get? Is there anyone who can say something about that? Anyway, moving forward, I can let me say a little bit of a story in how I started. How I started is back in school. I was in Kabarak University, where I learned about computer science. So basically in computer science, you're just taught around the aspects of computing, the different domains, and in those domains, that's what contributes to your cybersecurity skill set. So with the learning that I received in school, I also had a professor who was really good in cryptography. And I was like, I think I really want to learn more about you. So myself and a couple of friends of ours used to go to his office, and then he takes time to teach us around on cybersecurity and any other field of interest that you're interested in. Like personally, I was interested in building stuff, and that's how I learned how to do virtualization using VMware, using VirtualBox for the same. So with that, the first step I can give you in cybersecurity, learn to engage mentors, and I believe your lecturers can be your mentors, and you can learn something from them. And secondly, among the things I was able to pick up and learn from is go above and beyond your particular skill set. Among what I say is that cybersecurity is a really special field where you really need to learn a lot, and you really need to have a keen interest in just looking at the small details in different activities. So with that, you just have to put in extra hours, extra effort. Myself, I used to sleep late, maybe 3 a.m. when I started, because the only job I had was to learn. I was jobless at that time. I didn't have anything going on in my life. So the only option I had was to sit down and learn more. So with that, I can give a recommendation of a certain blog or a certain site called cybersecurity.it that offers specific cybersecurity courses. Whichever field, it's not only the offensive side, it's both offensive and defensive cybersecurity side. Secondly, never stop learning, and with never stop learning, keep Google a really good friend of yours, because every resource that I have right now, I just do my own research and find out information about that particular topic. So with that, I believe Christopher mentioned something around that earlier, and yeah, that will give you a particular skill set around the different domains you want to learn more about. And I think I'll say another point is keep looking for resources, keep reading more. And there's one particular podcast series I listen to. It's called Darknet Diaries. By the name, I believe you get something out of it. So with Darknet Diaries, it gives you like, which is the best hack that I've had so far. I think it's the one for Bangladesh Bank. So with that, it gives you the particular attack scenario and the story around how these particular hackers were able to have access to the data from I think it was facilitated by, is it North Korea? Yeah. So with that, you're able to get to learn and also put in mind the particular set skill. How do I call it? The particular attack mind maps in your head also. And then something that I'm really passionate about is communities. So personally, a couple of friends of mine and I co-founded a group called She Hacks KE, where there's no bias. Anyone is welcome to be part of it. And we normally have weekly boot camps. That's on Thursdays. And for the Thursdays, we have different topics. It can be around the different emerging technologies like cloud computing. I'm not sure if you're all familiar around that. It's a relatively new topic. I don't think it's yet to be integrated to our syllabuses, because it's something that came recently. And you can also check around sites for Microsoft, AWS, because those are the, and also Google, where these are the three companies that I know have really invested so much in cloud computing. So aside from that, the weekly boot camps are not biased to one topic. It's general and different topics that we have. So for that, you're able to learn more and start building a skill set based on the topics that are available. So I'm hoping to see you guys for next week's Thursday. We normally post everything on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter is the one that is mostly active. So make sure you have a Twitter account for that, and just research on our site. And we normally give updates every other time. And then thirdly, sorry, there are so many points that I had in mind, but the almost last ones in the particular soft skills for cybersecurity is create opportunities for yourself. So I think Christopher had mentioned that earlier, never opportunities for yourself. And to bias to cybersecurity, start doing certifications. Start from the basic one, like Cisco networking, Huawei networking, and things like that. In that way, you just build an opportunity for yourself. Let's say an internship comes, and the requirement is you need to have CCNA or you need to have HCNA. So for that, you need to have, that gives you a chance and an opportunity on your page. Then there's a second and third one is create a blog for yourself. Who is Eve, for example? Do I have a blog? Personally, I didn't manage to do that, but I know it's something that will put you out there. And yeah, it's a greater chance to put your space out there. There's also the GitHub aspect where you create a GitHub page and make sure it's always green. I don't know, developers know that better. I was a developer as I started, but I dissected to cybersecurity. And today I'll just take you through some slides where I'll just give you a basic introduction around the cybersecurity field. Yeah, that's enough of my pep talk. Let's do this. Just 1 second. Just share this. I hope you can see my screen. So basically, my key domain is around penetration testing and red teaming. So I'll just take you through the introduction side, and I believe we can plan a session where we can cover it on a technical perspective. So I think I've introduced myself. My name is Evelyn Kilel. I'm a cybersecurity engineer at Safaricom right now. Yeah. So what comes to mind when you see penetration testing? This is like simulating different attacks in an environment. In that way, when you try penetrate an environment, you're able to see these are the different vulnerabilities in this environment, and how can I take advantage of it. So so for penetration testers, we normally focus around testing different systems, like for example, web portals, mobile apps, even servers themselves. So you try test them and see what use or what particular information can I get out of this environment. Yeah. Secondly, there's a difference between penetration testing and red teaming. Red teaming is where you come in with little or no information. And I can give you an example of the best activity that we do for red teaming is social engineering. How many of us give our passwords, our M-Pesa passwords to scammers? So I'd classify the scammers that you normally see as red teamers. In a way, they're able to convince this particular customer, like, hey, your M-Pesa, your SIM card is deactivated, kindly send me your PIN so I can reset that for you. So once they reset, they didn't have any information about this customer. Probably they just guessed these numbers and shared it and tried reaching these particular customers to see how much information they can get them. So and a certain recommendation I can give for that one is never share your private information to anyone. So there are two aspects: red teaming and penetration testing. So they're two different items, but they're in the same domain. So where does this come from in terms of red teaming? So in cybersecurity, there are two particular teams. There are three teams actually. There's one called purple teaming, then there's red teaming, and then there's also blue team. So the merger between blue team and red team becomes a purple team. So for blue team, we focus more on the defense side, like, is my firewall working well? Is there any so you just try to protect any attacks that can infiltrate your systems with regards to blue teaming. And then for red teaming, you have to proactively test whether are there any vulnerabilities in my systems. In that way, it doesn't give a window for an attacker to come into your system. And the origin comes from the different battle surveys that we had a while back. So you can just check around this online and just see how best you can learn more about the red team aspect and the blue team aspect, because it's a term that is mostly used by the army. So yeah. So for red team, it's more around offensive security test, and then blue team is the defensive, i.e. incident response. So there are so many topics, and our weekly webinars will always cover different topics around this cybersecurity aspect. And then yeah, then the second one is why do organizations hack themselves? What comes in mind? So, for example, if I do a hack on myself or if I test my platforms, what do I get? You get to see the different threats that are in that system and how best can I close this particular system. And it also helps improve the different threat models that you can build around the defensive side of cybersecurity. I hope I'm not going too fast here. Then now for penetration testing, we have different phases. I'll start with the first one, which is pre-engagement. And this is really a key concern to everyone. If you get like a side hustle for penetration testing, you need to have a letter that authorizes you to do a pen test. In case it's a legal issue, what happens? You're taken to court. You don't have any backup documents that will back you up, like, hey, this was not a malicious activity. This was an authorized activity. So make sure you have the authorized permissions by that company or that bank or whichever place that you're authorized to test those particular systems, no matter how small they are. Even if it's your friend, don't put friendship in business. Yes. And then the second part is information gathering. What's the key interest around information gathering? So for information gathering, we need to find how much information can we get about this person. And I can just mention a couple of tools that you can use for that. So for example, for websites, you can use a tool called Sublister to find the different domains under that particular website. There's also one called the Harvester, which is used to harvest emails. Yeah. So for that, you're able to see once you get emails, you're like, these are the different people that I need to do social engineering on, and it gives you a better attack map in terms of it gives you like even the system versions, i.e. what version was MySQL running at, with the information you have. And with the different versions of softwares that are in use, you can go to a platform called ExploitDB, where you can find the different attack vectors that are available for the different versions of softwares. So, like I said earlier, most of the information you actually need to have a successful career are available online. Then the third point is there's the aspect of scanning and enumeration. So for scanning and enumeration, this is the use of automated tools, i.e. Nessus, then there is OpenVerse. Or for that, you're able to scan a portal. I'd give how a scanner works is it has a DB of the different vulnerabilities and for the different versions of softwares running in an application. So when you do the scanning aspect, to be able to pull the different vulnerabilities that are in that system. Then once you have the vulnerabilities in place, we go to the fourth point, which is vulnerability analysis. So for vulnerability analysis, what do? You now check the different vulnerabilities you identified earlier and try see which are of the key concerns or which are critical, which are medium, and you just create like a platform, or not a platform really, you create a strategy, or you just create a way in which you can, which ones do I start with, which ones do I go next. Then after that, once you have that in place, you can go to exploitation. So for exploitation, you try, there are tools that you can use. One of them that I know of is called Metasploit. And I believe if you've seen a little more about cybersecurity, you know how it works. And I believe all of you also have Kali Linux, or in your free time, you can configure Kali Linux because it has all the relevant tools that are needed for this particular test. So for that, exploitation, you'll be able to compromise a certain vulnerability in a certain server or a service. So maybe you get root access, you create a user, you dump a database or something like that. So for that, exploitation gives you the chance to infiltrate the different systems, extract whatever data you need, and then you can now move to post-exploitation. So for post-exploitation, it's more around how can I maintain my access in this platform. And secondly, how can I cover my tracks also based on what I was able to get from this particular platform. Then the last one is reporting. After all that you've done, all the rosy items you've identified, what do? You have to write a report that the customer or the particular person or your own project even will consume and say that these are actually the vulnerabilities that I have in this system. How can I come out of it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I've rushed through all of them. Okay. So these are some of the tools that would be useful for you. When you get during the information gathering stage, you can use tools like it's called Dig, Whois, the Harvester, DNS Recon, Simply Email, Multigo, and Recon NG, and also Google. Remember, Google is the one thing that will give you every information that you need. And there's a way even you can search for more of this in Google, and you're able to find them. And that way, you're just finding information that you can use it, for that particular security activity. Yeah, I think scanning is more like trying to find the different vulnerabilities in the different systems that you have. So these are the different tools. I believe you're taking some note of them. There's Nmap, NBT Scan, NIM for Linux, Nicto, WP Scan. WP Scan is more on WordPress, and then Nmap and BT Scan and NIM for Linux and Nicto are around the network side of the environment. So with this one, you're able to get the different ports that the services are running from, and also the different service versions they're running with. And then for what the WP Scan is a WordPress scanner. You can check whether there are backup files in that WordPress site. Yeah. And a lot more, or the exposed admin pages for the same. Then we also have vulnerability scanners. One of them is OpenVAS, which is open source, and then Nessus is more professional, and it's one that we all purchase for use. Oh, okay. The fun part is always exploitation. What can I get? Can I get passwords? Can I dump a DB? I don't know. There's some excitement that normally comes with that particular element. What can I get? Yeah. Then exploitation. So I can mention more about social engineering. So for social engineering, it's mostly user-driven. So this one, it's a good experience in terms of you can create payloads, and payloads make sure that an antivirus doesn't block them, and then attach it either to PPT files, and XLS files or Excel files, and also Word files. So for that, maybe we can plan a session on antivirus evasion, and one that is fully hands-on, and I can teach you more around how to craft such scenarios for social engineering attacks. Then there are different exploitation tools that we have. One is Searchsploit or ExploitDB. So for Searchsploit and ExploitDB, as I said earlier, it's like a database that has different exploits, and Searchsploit is in Kali Linux, or you can just configure on whichever Linux distribution you are at, and it's able to give you the different exploits available in that Metasploit tool that you have. Then Metasploit, they're used hand in hand with Searchsploit, and then there's Empire, which gives you. Empire is like how best can I explain it? It's also a tool where you can integrate both Metasploit and Empire, and to get different. You can just have a better elevation of privileges for both of them. And then there's also Cobalt Strike. So what next? So once we compromise a system, what is the first thing that we need to do? We need to maintain access, and then do privilege escalation. There's also, for privilege escalation, there are different ways. You can either go laterally or vertically. And what I have here is the vertical escalation from a normal user to an admin user. And then maintaining access is just, you can keep some backdoor or payload to maintain persistence for you in that system. Then there's also the aspect of data extraction, where we have what data can I extract? If I dump a database, I might get emails, passwords, and also files like transaction files. And then pivoting, once you compromise one computer, you can now start escalating to compromise other computers in that particular network. Then with persistence. So persistence, there are two levels of persistence. It's either on the level of user, where the first compromise that we had earlier, I only have the normal credentials without admin rights, and then you can now elevate to admin rights. So you make sure you have those two accounts configured when you're keeping the persistence part. So when you leave, you can come back the next day and you're still able to have the same access. Okay. Then still on privilege escalation, this is moving from one normal user to an admin user. I think I mentioned that earlier. Then horizontal movement also, I also mentioned it earlier. But yeah, it's mostly keeping the same level of access in that system. Then the data exfiltration and cleanup. What do we do about this one? For this one, extract as much sensitive data as you can get from the system. Then once you do that, just do a cleanup in terms of you can remove all the accounts that you had created and make sure that no one is able to trace back to this is the person that was trying to hack me or was trying to get access from my system. Because if you leave traces, I think a defensive person or rather someone who's doing his incidents response will be able to trace back that this person moved from step A to step 9. And if you don't do cleanup, if you do cleanup, they might not be able to get all that information. Yeah, so for cleanup, it's mostly make sure there's no evidence and then clean up logs and then delete any files that you uploaded. Also the credentials that you created. Then reporting. Why do we insist on reporting? Reporting has 3 elements: the issue, the impact, and the solution. You have to give a solution to every problem that you state in that particular system that you have. So for that, if you have a certain number of issues, you just make sure there's a solution, because if you're taking it to a CEO or something like that, they will not be able to understand the different technical aspects. You also need to create a summary page or an executive summary that they're able to understand, like we had this number of issues, and then in that way, they're able to give a better informed decision. And also for the technical person, now they'll need the particular solution for them to action on the different items identified. Yeah. So, and I think this is one of the key. Well, it's a bit tiresome, but documentation is key, and you need to have like backup for that. Unless if you don't have backup for an issue, that becomes an issue. So you need to make sure you have screenshots for the same. And if you have like things like passwords, you just clear it, or you just put a watermark, or sorry, not a watermark, or you just put a mark, or rather you just hide some of the values, so no one can just reuse it again from your report. Yeah. So summary of what we've done here. What do you learn about red teaming now? It's more of a mindset, and it's focused more on around resolution of problems. Yeah. So there are more checks you can consider when you're doing red teaming, as it's mostly on a level where you don't know much to a level where you know more of the information. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. Any questions that we have for this session? Any questions for the session? So I've received a question from Alex. What are you looking for exactly in cybersecurity experts? I think I'm not sure how that question is, but for a cybersecurity person, there are different levels. For example, there's the infrastructure level, there's the governance level. For infrastructure, they deal more around the firewalls, whether the rules are affecting the intrusion detection systems and then intrusion prevention systems. So for that, you're able to see the different. You just create, is it appliances or network equipment that would always deter the different attacks from streaming into a system to a platform or a system. And secondly, we have governance. So governance mostly deal with ISO 27001, or how have you structured your project. It's more like is our house in order, but it's quite a domain where there's so much to learn also on the same, and you can check more on the governance side. You can just note it down somewhere. And then thirdly, we have also penetration testing. So for penetration testing, these are the people that are actively involved in testing systems for any new vulnerabilities and sharing it with the proper project custodian for the same, for them to action on the issues. And then we also have people around architecture, where for architecture, you just assist in designing a solution and how best can this solution be implemented. And then fourthly, I know there's a fifth one. I think there's a fifth one. Oh, there's also the security operation monitoring. So for security operation monitoring, you can check more. You need to be in a place where you can monitor the different alerts and what comes into your system, and what are the attacks that are streaming in from tools like IPS, WAF, and things like that. WAF is a web application firewall, by the way, in case you don't. Then I think there's a third question. Where do cybersecurity experts work? I think anywhere where there are systems, probably every system is vulnerable to attacks, and in any form. Even in your school should have a cybersecurity analyst, but I know we'll build up to that eventually. But yeah, most organizations now are building around cybersecurity, and the ones that hadn't considered cybersecurity are now adapting. And someone is asking, how can someone hack into dark web? And how can we protect ourselves from dark web? I think dark web is just a dark website where there's so many illegal activities going on. So it's up to you to decide, am I going to be interested in finding information about this dark web? Yeah. But you can purchase illegal stuff there though. But I don't advise anyone to venture into it. Are there any additional questions? But yeah, maybe a little more about dark web. What I've seen mostly is oh, sorry, hey. But yeah, maybe a little more about dark web. What I've seen mostly is oh, sorry, hey.
Oh, hi, Evelyn. Oh, thank you, Evelyn, Kilel. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are happy. The students are impressed. Haemba has also posted another question on the wall. Haemba is trying to ask, what are some of the privileges that one can be sure of when bringing a cybersecurity expert in the institution? It's on mute. Huh?
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, this is what I was asking. There's a question from Alex Haemba that what are some of the privileges that one can be sure of when bringing a cybersecurity expert in an institution? So what are some of the privileges that one can be sure of when bringing a cybersecurity expert in the institution?
Okay, so for that, I believe we are all employees and you're just given the privileges you need. There's no special privilege for a particular person in cybersecurity. Like, for example, if you have to test some systems, so you might need to request for access for those particular systems. Otherwise, we're just normal employees, just like anyone. If I need something, you have to provide because I need to support you for your project or to complete a task. Yeah. So I'm not sure, Alex, if I've been able to answer your question. And Jamie, I think you're asking, is it a question or it's just a comment? Okay, let me go to Nayumba. Yes, he's asking if knowledge of programming expertise is required. I believe every knowledge in cybersecurity, every knowledge in any platform is good for cybersecurity because one, you deal with so many platforms and you need to have at least some ground of knowledge for the different platforms. Like for example, if you find a Red Hat server today, you have no idea how it works, but you need to learn how that thing works for you to be able to support and test it adequately. Yeah. Any other questions?
Evelyn, there's this question. Alex has said he's not. I think he wants you to clarify more on the privileges that a student or somebody would need before bringing a cybersecurity expert in an institution. Yeah, so I think he needs a little more clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay. So for that, it's every employee. Like also, I just joined in like with different people in different teams when I was joining Safaricom. So there's this particular requirements. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm clear, but there was a little bit of an echo. But I was telling you, it's just similar to anyone in the team. So you just join in. But with regards to privileges, unless you specify what kind of privileges you're asking about, however, it's just it's a role that you have, and therefore you have to meet certain requirements. And if you need any help, you just reach out to the relevant teams to give you access to what you need. Otherwise, there's no particular privileges for a cybersecurity expert in an institution. Then there's someone, I don't know if this is a repeat question, is how can someone hack the web and how can we protect ourselves from dark web? I think that one is still, it's not advisable to use it, but if you're really interested in, that's on your own and it's up to you to decide this is what I want to check into. Then Steve Karanja is asking, considering the many technologies arising like IoT, files, up more data, how vast should cybersecurity experts and analysts be to counter arising threats? So I think for IoT, I'll just say design secure platforms. One, what I mean by design secure platforms, just make sure you're running with the latest versions because eventually they'll use some particular softwares in place to that. And the IoT, there's a specific way you need to test them, but I don't think I have more information to share with you today. However, I can collect a couple of items and just put it on the YouTube comments for our YouTube today. Then, oh yeah, Jamie again is saying use virtual machines to access dark web. Yeah, you're right. Why virtual machines? It's a sandbox environment where at least it's that particular machine that is vulnerable to it. But it's still up to you to explore more around it and find how how that works. Then, as a criminologist, do I need to know about cybersecurity for an effective investigation? And do I have to undergo a full course? Yeah. So it's not necessarily, you can train yourself. However, you need to back up your data with the different courses that are available and also certify around them. So in that way, you're doing particular courses around cybersecurity. Personally, I'm still learning. Like, learning never stops. You continue learning, and if you feel like you need to do something, just do it. There's no other short way to move forward on it. So, which is the best path for one to become a cyber security, and which certifications do I need to become one? So I can say all paths are good. Like, for example, what I'm good in, or what I focus mostly on, it's more on offensive security. So among the certifications that are key for that is CH. CH is the Certified Ethical Hacker. Then ECSA, which is I can confirm how that that number is, but ECSA is it's by EC Council, but it's a cybersecurity analyst. Then there's also OSCP, which is among the biggest courses we have, where it gives you the chance to be fully offensive. And for that also, there are some platforms where you can try hack boxes. One of them is Hack the Box, and then there's also Try Hack Me. I think for criminologists, I believe I've answered your answer. If you're interested in cybersecurity, basically, just try for an effective investigation. What kind of investigation are you doing? Is it, I don't have much knowledge around the investigative side of cybersecurity, but I only know around the incident response, where you just drill down to the different incidences and just try more around forensics, because I believe investigation relies more on the forensic side. I won't lie, I'm not an expertise there, but I only have knowledge to just back you up on a little information I can give. And then so what are the benefits of employing a cybersecurity in a company? That is my line of interest. Considering what we have service, who you have incorporated. So the benefits of employing a cybersecurity analyst in a company. One, what cyber how do I call it, field are you interested in having in your organization? If it's a starting organization, I'll say you'll start. Normally, most organizations start with defensive, but I tend to counter that. You can have both teams, so the defensive side can try hack the platform and try get more information about that particular organization. Yeah, so it depends on what you really want. Maybe you can share more information, Alex, on what you really want in terms of incorporating a cybersecurity person to your organization. But it's beneficial because they're able to give you advice on the different attack vectors or the different attacks that your organization is facing. Then Nayumba is asking, can I be able to be attached in Safaricom? I wish to get exposed to this field more on any sensor. I think I can mention that Safaricom normally share even internship opportunities on our career portal, and that's solely done by our HR, because you're just employed as a normal employee. It's still a chance for you to be employed. Therefore, you have to go through the whole process of doing interviews, being from the interviews, did you manage to pass, and items like that. So once you're able to pass, then you're able to join the team. Otherwise, there's no other short route, but it's always on an opportunity basis and a chance basis. Like there was a STEM opportunity that was going through earlier this year. I think it's closed already. So when you see such, you just apply If you manage to be called for an interview, they'll reach out to you. I think that's it from my side. Is there anything else that I've left out? So we can have more sessions where I can train you guys on the hands-on perspective, as I think we need to do the hands-on side, but you can still learn more together on the same. Sorry, I think I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay. Oh, okay. How about